I looked outside. What did I see? A little bird. He looked at me. I lured him close. With a piece of bread. And then I smashed. His little head. The moral of the story is. You want some head. You need some bread. Right turn. Huh.
broken land. Show it's the love to keep us together. Open up your hearts, don't turn us away. Stand with us through this stormy weather. From where I stand, I see a broken land. Show it's the love to keep us together.
I looked outside, what did I see? A little bird, he looked at me, I lured him close, with a piece of bread, and then I smashed his little head.
Well, good evening and welcome. Thursday evening here at Restore UK. And, you know, this is probably the most serious stream that we've ever done here at Restore and on previous streams at Reclaim UK. And the reason being is that, you know, over the past few days that there's been a lot happening in the United Kingdom. There's been a lot happening with reference the continued existence of the United Kingdom. There's been a lot happening with reference negotiations, not just this side of the election, which happened in Northern Ireland just a few weeks ago, but we believe, and we believe that we're about to lay out that things were going on for a long time before that, and even do we believe that our political leaders, those that we would have cast our votes and give elected to serve and protect us, well, we believe that in true fait accompli style, well, it seems that they had agreed to things before that the pencil marks were even dry on the ballot paper. Now, the real question is this before that we move on. Were some in political leadership here in Northern Ireland, were they conning people? Were they swindling people whenever they were standing on the stages of protocol rallies, telling you, telling me, telling everyone else that they would stand strong, telling everyone that the protocol must go in every way, shape and fashion? And I'm reminded of Jeffrey Donaldson in Crossgar in County Down, whenever the cameras of the media were permitted into Crosscar Orange Hall, and whenever Jeffrey Donaldson would have stood and spoke fine words, whenever he said that the protocol has to go, otherwise there will be no returning to power sharing in Stormont. That's just off the Newton Ards Road in Belfast, Northern Ireland. So whilst Jeffrey Donaldson was telling that to the media, whilst Jeffrey Donaldson of the DUP, the leader of the DUP, for those of you who don't know, whilst he was telling everyone that he would be standing strong, that he would be standing tall, and he wouldn't be given in until the protocol was gone. That's what he said in Crossgar in County Down. And there was a man in the audience, and what he did was he stood up and he asked Jeffrey Donaldson a few questions. He asked Jeffrey Donaldson, well, what does that actually mean? I mean, does the European courts have to be removed from from existence here in Northern Ireland and overseeing the people of Northern Ireland that wants to be and remain part of the United Kingdom? Does that mean that the European courts would be removed? So Jeffrey Donaldson, he would have said yes. Does that mean the border checks, the sea border checks, the borders in the North Channel between England, Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, does that mean that the border would have to go in its entirety? And Jeffrey Donaldson confirmed, and he said yes. In fact, when asked that does the port protocol have to go in all its ways, shapes and fashions, well, Jeffrey Donaldson would actually have confirmed that. So being who that we are at Restore and being the pushy type people that we are, well, I personally, I approached the front in Crossgar in County Down that night in the Orange Hall, and I went up to Jeffrey Donaldson and I says, well, look, they were fine words, Jeffrey, that you just mentioned there. And, and I draw his attention to the same words in Dromore, County Down, 2 weeks prior to that. And again, I says, now let's just be clear. does this protocol have to go in every way, shape and fashion? And he says, that's what I said, John. And I says, now, does that mean the courts? Yes. Does that mean the sea border? Yes. Does that mean everything surrounding that protocol? And Jeffrey Donaldson actually confirmed that that was the case. Now, let me just tell you that that night in Crossgar, we actually recorded what it was that Jeffrey was saying, as did we record up in Ballymoney in County Antrim exactly what Jeffrey Donaldson was saying. Now, nothing illegal. I mean, that you were permitted to record what it was that he was saying. And we have those recordings on file. We kept them on file. Should there be a problem in the future where Jeffrey would have actually went back on his word, like the DUP and the DUP hierarchy, like politicians, the Western world wide, let's just get that off the road. Like politicians do, well, they ask for your support and they lie to your face. And once they get that support, well, what they do is they do a complete U-turn and they go off in the direction which they had contemplated whilst it was that they swindled you for your vote. Now, were we cautious whenever we would have heard Jeffrey Donaldson in the DUP saying that he was going to stand tall for and on behalf of the people of Northern Ireland? Well, were we cautious? Well, of course we were. We have many videos here at Restore. We documented many times in where that we pointed out that these were fine words by Jeffrey, but however, we realise that the DUP have formed for shafting us. Let us draw back for a few moments to the general election of 2019, a time whenever we here in Northern Ireland would have had as close to unionist unity at any point in my lifetime. I'm 53 years of age, almost 54. And, you know, never ever since I have remembered politics, and believe me, you could call me a political anorak here in Northern Ireland because I've been involved in politics before most, I would assume. And, you know, ever since I can remember politics and looking at politicians, well, in terms of unionist politics, well, I have seen successive political leaders in mainstream unionism. Well, what they have done is that, yeah, they come around, they rap your door, they ask for your vote, they canvass. You don't see them from one election time till the next. And once they get your vote, well, you're only a number. You do not matter until the next time that an election comes around. Now, therein lies the real problem as to why that there was such a huge disconnect at the assembly elections here in Northern Ireland. Now, let's just discuss a few figures before that we move on. You know, whilst that we in the round in British unionism here in Northern Ireland, and British unionism is made up of Protestants, unionists and loyalists who live in Northern Ireland, you know, those that are electorally permitted to vote in any election. And, you know, what has happened over the years is that, you know, whilst that there is a huge block of political unionism here in Northern Ireland, would you believe that quite a bit of that block within unionism, well, they don't vote anymore. And why is it that they don't vote? Well, many has told me that why would you vote for them people? Because they promise you the earth, the moon, and the stars, and then they go back in their word. They go off and they do their own thing anyway. And you don't see them from one election until the next. So therein lies the real problem as to why that there's a huge disconnect here within British unionism. And whilst that the election there in just a few weeks ago, on the 5th of May here in Northern Ireland for the Northern Ireland Assembly, whilst that unionism in the round would have done okay, and across the board unionists equalled more than the nationalist vote and the Republican vote combined, and whilst that had happened here in Northern Ireland, there was still a huge portion of British unionists here in Northern Ireland. And we calculate, judging on past figures by the University of Liverpool, looking at past trends, we calculate it somewhere in the region of, well, we can calculate it up to about 400,000 votes. Didn't actually come out, but let's give it an urgent, A version of a margin of error is what I was looking for. Sorry about those words. Let's give it a huge margin of error, and let's say that even 60,000 of those people are off that table. And let's say that there were even 340,000 unionist votes here in Northern Ireland at the last Assembly election. Well, it appears that that amount of people here in Northern Ireland didn't actually come out to vote. And if we can encourage those people out to vote in any election going forward, well, nationalism, republicanism, and the others, they would not have a chance. They would not be able to stand against unionism here in Northern Ireland. And our place would be secure for a very, very long time, for another 100 years plus, if only we can get that vote out. But why can we not get that vote out? Well, we can't get that vote out because of what it is that I'm about to unfold on this screen, is that our politicians, well, they promised the earth, the moon, and the stars, they promised that they would stand tall and stand strong against the EU constitutional changing protocol. And once they got our vote, well, the lead wasn't even dry on those ballot papers. The pencil lead wasn't even dry. And already, and probably prior to those ballots being cast, our unionist politicians, namely in the DUP hierarchy, they were conspiring to move the electorate to a place where they wanted to go, and not a place which suits the needs of British Unionists here in Northern Ireland, and not a place which would suit the continuation of unionism here in Northern Ireland. In fact, I have to ask the question, are they trying to move us towards this so-called New Ireland? Are they trying to play for themselves and not for us? Are they trying to get their feet under this New Ireland, which, when you look at it, when you examine it, it is nothing of the sort? Because in Ireland right now, in the Republic of Ireland right now, I have many friends, many nationalist friends in the Republic of Ireland, and they tell me, if you live here, well, you are not allowed and permitted to be Irish. In fact, newcomers are placed in a hierarchy to the needs of ordinary Irish people. In 2020, early 2020, before their general election, I was invited to the Republic of Ireland to give a talk in the Skyline Hotel to many people who were standing as independent candidates in the Republic of Ireland general election. And I can remember leaving a stage on Fermanagh the night before, whenever we would have stood along with unionists talking about a people-politician partnership. And I left Fermanagh that day, and on the Saturday went straight to the Skyline Hotel in Dublin to address many people who were standing as independent candidates against the corrupt government in the Irish Republic. And, I met a lot of friends that day. In fact, in that room, I got a standing ovation for saying what? I would like to help you save your nationality in return for you helping me save mine. And, I got a standing ovation. Those people gave me a huge clap. And that day going forward, I had met a lot of friends in the Irish Republic. So here's what happens. Those friends, they generally liaise with me regularly, and they are telling me that there is no such thing as this New Ireland, which these people are projecting. In fact, they tell me that Sinn Féin are not nationalists. Did the version of what nationalism is, did it change? Because Sinn Féin, well, they have supported the EU. They have supported that Ireland would be vassals of that EU. And, don't let anyone tell you that the nationalists and the Republicans, the Sinn Féiners, well, they're not actually shafting their own people, just like I believe that the Democratic Unionist Party hierarchy are actually shafting us. Now, I'm going to lay out in what I believe is a conclusive way that as I say again, the lead wasn't even dry on those ballot papers, and already the DUP were preparing to move those who voted for them in a way that those people didn't want to go, and in a way that they were not promised on those protocol rally stages before that it was that the DUP actually swindled your vote. So starting off, what I want to do is that I want to play something, and I'm going to play a lot of short videos here, and they're only short video clips. And I want to play things so that what we can do is that we can chart a little course and we can show people the origins, firstly, of this protocol. Now, listen very carefully to these words, and, you know, make no mistake, this is the origins of this constitutional changing EU protocol, which is in place, which was in place before the before the Assembly elections on the 5th of May, which still is in place today, and which, according to the British government, it will be in place in times to come. Let's play the first video clip, and then we'll come back, we'll talk some more, and we'll move on.
The parties here work together and we achieved the protocol, and I'm glad we achieved the protocol.
So let's just wind that back again, and let's listen to Michelle O'Neill, and listen very, very carefully to those words. And whenever we get to the end of this, what I will do is that I will give you a bit of the history as to how that the protocol actually came into being. So let's play again.
We sought to find mitigation against Brexit, and a number of the parties here worked together and we achieved the protocol, and I'm glad we achieved the protocol.
So what Michelle O'Neill is actually telling you is that a number of parties in Northern Ireland, what they did was they teamed together in order to have the protocol, and they worked together in a way that they achieved the protocol. Now, who remembers in the aftermath of the Brexit referendum, when people like Michelle O'Neill, the SDLP guy, Connor, whatever they call him, the Naomi Long, that great liberal, woke Alliance Party, neutral other party, let's just say. So there was Michelle O'Neill, there was Connor, whatever they call him, there was Naomi Long, and there was that lady from the Green Party, also Claire Bailey. And I can remember them trotting up to the Dáil, that's the Irish Parliament, for those that don't know. And they were going to talk to the Irish government about how that it is that they could derail the Brexit referendum result, when 17.4 plus million people, whenever they voted right around the United Kingdom in a referendum that was for the United Kingdom, that was United Kingdom wide, that 17.4 plus million people actually cast their vote to leave what is known as the dictatorial Ponzi scheme, which is the EU. And yet that vote here in Northern Ireland, it wasn't upheld. That vote resulted in the people of Northern Ireland being separated from the rest of the United Kingdom, their brothers and sisters in England, Scotland and Wales. That vote resulted in democracy being derailed for the people of Northern Ireland. That vote resulted in the people of Northern Ireland being made and designated second-class citizens. And that vote, well, in England, Scotland and Wales, whenever Boris says that he got Brexit done, well, the people of Northern Ireland got nothing of the sort. So who achieved the protocol? You just heard it. Sinn Féin, IRA, achieved the protocol with others. And so let's move on and let's understand something. And I'm just going to pop up on our screen here. Again, these videos that we do, let me explain something. They're for documentary purpose. And we document a lot in politics. And, you know, in future, even if social media platforms goes down, the software that we have, it documents, and we can save the content of what it is that we do. And we're always going to be able to look back at how things happen right across the entire Brexit process. So this not only is a stream for explanation and for educational purposes, this is a stream that we are documenting who said what when, who shafted who didn't tell the truth, who went back on their word, so on and so forth. Well, you actually get the picture whenever I'm telling you what it is that this stream is all about. So let's, in true documentary fashion, let's actually pop up what had happened. What was it that drove the referendum, and how did the referendum actually end up? You see, what you're going to have in front of you here on the screen is you're going to have what it actually said on the ballot paper in the EU referendum. It says that it was a referendum on the United Kingdom's membership of the European Union. It says that you can vote only once by putting a cross in the box next to your choice. And it says, should the United Kingdom remain a member of the European Union, or should it leave? So you had the clear choice. You could have propped it into remain or leave. And it just so happened that more people placed their axe in that leave the European Union unfairly and squarely. Those that wanted to leave the European Union, well, they won. They won in a democratic way. They won at the polls, and they beat those that didn't want to leave the European Union, and they didn't accept the referendum result. Now, let's park that there. They didn't accept the referendum result. And in fact, here's a claim. They are still fighting that Brexit referendum today. They don't accept democracy if it doesn't go their way. They are not democratic, and that you could be absolutely assured of. So let's go on to number 2 in terms of the videos that I want to play, which will chart the course of why that it is that the people of Northern Ireland are actually in the position that they're in. And what we're going to do right now is that we're going to draw you back for a few weeks now. And we're going to draw you back to a point just last Monday, whenever that I would have heard something on the media. And I would have heard Mug Beatty, as I call him, Doug Beatty, of the Ulster Unionist Party, whenever he said that there is a landing zone. And, we've put that forward, and that's what needs to be accepted. So remember those words, landing zone. And then whenever I heard Doug Beatty saying that, I heard something else in RTE, because that's what we do at Restore. We listen for sound bites, and we try to put jigsaws together with regards to who's dealing with who's talking the same language, and so on and so forth. And then I heard a clip on RTE. Whenever I heard, but this RTA clip had been out before that Doug Beatty had actually mentioned those words, landing zone, and it was Micheál Martin, the current Taoiseach of the Dáil in the Republic of Ireland, wherever he said that there is a landing zone, and and it's generally accepted. So I remember phoning a friend, and I said to my friend, well, Doug Beatty of the Ulster Unionist Party is using the words right out of the Irish government's mouths. Now, let me just play a little video clip, and we're going to play 2 video clips. We had 3 here, but there's only so many that we can put on before the screen gets too big. So I'm going to play 2 little video clips, and we'll stop and start as we go. And I want you to listen for the sound lockstep. I want, or not lockstep, landing zone in lockstep fashion. And I want you to listen to who that it is that was using this language, and who that it is that is generally accepted what I believe to be the fait accompli. The landing zone that has already been agreed by everyone who is anyone in this Brexit process or in this protocol process. And I believe that this fait accompli was arrived at. I believe that there was position papers passed out amongst the DUP and anyone that was of any standing. I believe that Sinn Féin would have had these position papers. I believe that the Irish government would have had these position papers. The UK, the EU, the Irish America, they all would have had these position papers, and they were all uttering these words in lockstep fashion. They were all saying landing zone, landing zone, landing zone. And it appeared that they were all happy with this word, these formation of words, landing zone. Now we're going to get on to what the landing zone actually was. And this landing zone, you make no mistake, it was decided, it was agreed, it had the nod from the DUP that they would be accepting the landing zone well before, and possibly even before, that we got to an assembly election on the 5th of May here in Northern Ireland. And I hope that I'm here to show this conclusively. So I'm asking each and every one to tune in and to listen to every word. And then, if you can't understand, if you can't follow, then you can go back and you can watch this documentation of what I believed happened over the past few weeks and months here in Northern Ireland. So why are we at this juncture of fait accompli? Well, I believe that the great and the good had presented it to our politicians, and they agreed it even before that they swindled your vote. So let's play another little video as we move on.
Continues, but is there a landing zone?
Everybody's talked about the landing zone, but we know where the landing zone is. And it's been mentioned in Brussels, it's been mentioned in Washington, it's been mentioned in Dublin, it's been mentioned in London. The landing zone is quite simple. No checks on internal UK goods. There's no need for it.
So there we heard Steve Aiken of the Ulster Unionist Party saying that it had been mentioned in America, it had been mentioned in Brussels, it had been mentioned in Dublin, it had been mentioned in London. And in fact, here's a claim for you. Now, we had the video clip, but there's too many video clips to be shown, and we had to decide what documentation that we would put up here. But would you believe it that the very Ulster Unionist Party, they are claiming to be the architects of this landing zone whenever they would have visited Maros Shevchevich, I hope I said that right, prior to last November. That was November of last year, 2021. And they claimed that Maros Shevchevich would have accepted this landing zone, which was put forward by the Ulster Unionist Party. And they said that whenever they went to America in November, and then again, I think they went this year, and they said that the Americans were generally accepting of the landing zone put forward by them. They claimed to be the architects of this landing zone, and we'll talk about the landing zone in a moment. And, and then they said that they talked to the Dublin government and they accepted this so-called landing zone. So let's just play that short clip again. And we want to play it again. And the reason why we do, because we get a glimmer of what that landing zone is whenever Steve Aiken of the Ulster Unionist Party actually tells you a bit about what that landing zone is. So listen very carefully.
Continues, but is there a landing zone?
Everybody's talked about the landing zone, but we know where the landing zone is. And it's been mentioned in Brussels, it's been mentioned in Washington, it's been mentioned in Dublin, it's been mentioned in London. The landing zone is quite simple. No checks on internal UK goods. There's no need for it.
So the landing zone is that there's no checks, quote unquote, on UK internal goods. There's no need for it. Now remember that. I'm going to say that again. The landing zone is that there's no checks on UK internal goods. And that was the landing zone that had been accepted, according to the Ulster Unionist Party, by Brussels, by Dublin, by America, as early or as late or as far back as last year, prior to November time. So there we go. This is what the Ulster Unionist Party are claiming. Now, I want you to listen to another little video clip here. We're just going to kick this one from our screen, if you just bear with us for a second. Here we go. I'm going to pop this on my screen for one moment again, just for 2 seconds here, just to make sure that, yeah, okay. So I'm going to remove this and kick this from the studio. We don't want to be kicking the wrong video files, and that's why I put that up again. But as you can see, we're professional enough. We can flow. We've been doing this for a long time, and we can flow in the way that we actually need to. So now what I want to do is I want you to listen to the Alliance Party. I want you to listen to what the Alliance Party were claiming. So let's recap. So according to Michelle O'Neill, Sinn Féin IRA, they got together with others and they insisted and they ensured and they were the orchestrators. They were the architects of the protocol actually being in place. Now we look at the Ulster Unionist Party and they are saying that they are the architects of the landing zone. And make no mistake, there is a video clip in where that they actually do say that. They're claiming that. Now let's listen to the Alliance Party of Northern Ireland, and let's see what they are claiming with reference to this landing zone, this lockstep language landing zone that they're all mentioning, and they're all claiming responsibility for having put in place. Listen to the Alliance Party.
The Foreign Minister for the Irish government is saying today, this is a potential landing zone now. differentiating between goods intended to stay in Northern Ireland, goods intended to move on to the Republic of Ireland. Edwin Pooch saying last night, no problem, we'll check them, we'll do it, and we'll do it in Belfast, Stephen. What's your read of this?
Well, there is a clear landing zone. It's in our own party manifesto for the Assembly election. So, absolutely, there is.
What did Stephen Farry just say? Let's roll that back a moment or two. There's a clear landing zone. And where did he say that it was? Listen very carefully. He said,
it's in our own party manifesto for the Assembly election.
So it was in the Alliance Party manifesto before the Assembly elections. This landing zone that they all seem to have accepted. They all claim to have their fingerprints all over. Landing zone, landing zone, landing zone, landing zone. And we hear Mr. Nolan of Radio Ulster using landing zone. We hear Mr. Nolan claim that Simon Coveney was using the terminology landing zone. We heard Micheál Martin using landing zone, landing zone. This is like a bit like one of those American videos where you would see, the talking heads on the media being popped up and they're all using the same language, as if that it was scripted, as if that it was given to them in a position paper, I would say, by the British government, perhaps, maybe by the EU, perhaps, maybe by the Irish government, who knows? It's hard to tell where that position paper would have came from, or maybe respectively, it was handed to the closest people to all three of those, of that triangle that are involved in this protocol situation. That would be the British government, the EU and the Irish government, and who knows, they may have all handed it out to their own people and they may have shown this favourable language to use, which was landing zone. And we now understand what that landing zone was. That landing zone was no checks on goods coming to Northern Ireland. Now, let's remember something. Let's take Stephen Farry down there. And we'll not worry too much more about what he had to say, because I think that we got the gist of, all of these people using in lockstep language, this terminology landing. So now, here's another question for unionists here in Northern Ireland. So if the Ulster Unionist Party knew about the landing zone and they were happy that the Americans were happy with it, the EU was happy with it, the Dublin government was happy with it, the Alliance Party seemed to be happy with it because they had it in their manifesto, did the DUP not know about this landing zone whenever they were standing on protocol rally stages telling you that there would be no Irish Sea border, that there would be no protocol? Now, we're going to get into this in a moment or two. We're going to get into this as we go. And we're hopefully going to show conclusively that the DUP, well, they were being less than honest with you and I and everyone else. And then we wonder why that it is that some people are actually trying to persuade for the DUP climb down position, which I believe that was already in fait accompli mode before that it was that they went into the general or the assembly elections of May the 5th, just a few weeks ago. So let's take Farry off our screen here before that he makes me sick. And I say that respectfully, and I say that for a reason. So let's now play another short video clip. And, there's going to be a succession of video clips, which is actually here to document and to present and to show, hopefully, conclusively, is what we think it is. But, I'm asking each and every one that would be watching this screen tonight and that will come to watch this screen in the future, is that you need to determine in your own mind who that it is that's on your side, who that it is that's not on your side, who that it is that would be persuading for a climb down position, who that it is that, well, would persuade you or attempt to persuade you to accept a border between you and the people in England, Scotland and Wales, and in fact separating Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom, and in a way that once it's gone, it would be gone. This isn't a staging post. If the people that think that they're negotiating and they're accepting what it is they're accepting today, I heard the term staging post. I heard the terminology that, that the protocol, if it's gutted out and all its internal organs are moved, if that happens, well, then the protocol is all but dead, or corpse-like was the terminology that was being used. But here's the thing. There's still a border in the North Channel, and I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you words from Liz Truss herself whenever, that no one will be able to get around what it was that Liz Truss has said and uttered in the past few days. And we're going to show you this again, and I want you to make up your own mind as to, well, you can determine if there is a border in the North Channel, if this deal goes through, if we are separated from the United Kingdom, and in fact, are we being treated differently here in Northern Ireland from people in England and Scotland and Wales? Was our vote in that democratic EU referendum respected? Will it be respected? Is it being returned to the place of respect, whereby we are now being afforded the democracy the same as our brothers and sisters in England, Scotland and Wales? Is that border removed? Will there be checks on goods coming from England, Scotland and Wales to Northern Ireland? That's a real question, and remember that, because we're going to talk about that soon. And will the EU still have a foothold here in Northern Ireland? Yet some are claiming that the protocol is all but in corpse-like fashion. And don't worry about the border in the North Channel, which I'm going to show you and I'm going to claim exists and will exist even if this deal goes through. Don't worry about it, because this is a staging post. Now, let's just talk about a staging post. Let's talk about, nobody can tell me about staging post politics. I've been in politics for a very, very long time. So let me just tell you of the staging post that they're talking about. They think that if they accept this now, that they're going to go back and they're going to start shouting about the border that was left between England, Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. They're going to then go back and they're going to complain about the Green Channel, which still will have checks on goods coming from England, Scotland and Wales to Northern Ireland. They're going to go back and they're going to start fighting and shouting about the EU still has a foothold here in Northern Ireland. They think that if they do this deal, they think that they're going to go back and they're going to use this as a staging post, and they're going to go back and they're going to fight somewhere. Respectfully, I say, get your head looked at, because here's what will happen, is that if you do that deal now, if you do that deal which isn't quite satisfactory to unionism here in Northern Ireland, what will happen is that the EU will say, respectfully, the next time you go back, get lost. The world will say, respectfully, that is an international agreement. That is an internationally recognized agreement that you just done. You know, you had it your way, that we did negotiate, that we were prepared to actually do something, that you accepted that once, you accepted that twice, you accepted that in terms of the protocol, you accepted that in terms of the enhancements to the protocol and the removal of some things from that protocol, and now you have the audacity to come back and to try again. Respectfully, the world would say, get lost. What you agree this time will not be a staging post. That will be it. It will be lost. It will be gone forever. And Northern Ireland will be all but a vassal of the dictatorial Ponzi scheme that is the European Union, and will be a watered down version of a place in the rest of the United Kingdom. In fact, the United Kingdom actually won't exist anymore. And why is that, you ask? Well, once Northern Ireland has been separated from the United Kingdom, well, just watch till you see the SNP looking for the same, and those in Wales who are nationalistic and they want to go back to the EU, well, they'll be looking for exactly the same thing. So respectfully, I say to those that think that this is going to be a staging post, I say, think again. Let's play the next little clip.
I think Michelle O'Neill is saying the Northern Ireland Protocol is going nowhere. And she's got all of the might of her recent mandate behind her to say that. The protocol is going nowhere.
So if you just heard that, I'm going to play that again, and we're going to stop and we're going to start as it goes. Now, look at that picture. The protocol is going nowhere. And it says on the bottom of the picture, the DUP agrees to capitulate on the sea border. Now, make no mistake, I am going to show that the DUP have capitulated, are about to capitulate, will continue to capitulate, and all you are seeing playing out before your very eyes is a pantomime, which is designed to fool you. And what is it that the punchline in the pantomime is? Look out, it's behind you. And you believe me, in true pantomime fashion, the devil in the detail is behind you.
Our First Minister in waiting, Michelle O'Neill, is saying the Northern Ireland Protocol is going nowhere.
So Michelle O'Neill said that the protocol is going nowhere. That was the same protocol that Republicans, Michelle O'Neill, claimed that they run off to Dublin and they run off to the EU. And what they did was they argued for it, they begged for it, and they got it, separating unionists from their brothers and sisters in England, Scotland, and Wales. And that's exactly what happened. So let's now hear Stephen Nolan whenever he says this. This is totally insulting language to me, and I hope to you. And you know, if you're a victim, if you have had a family member murdered by these people, well, what that is doing, what Stephen Nolan's language is doing, is that it's adding insult to the injury and that those people have already suffered whenever they lost their loved ones to these unrepentant terrorists and these terrorist apologists in Sinn Féin.
And she's got all of the might of her recent mandate behind her.
Oh, she's got all of the might of the... Who remembers the Bobby Story funeral? Who remembers those white shirts? You know, those people, widely believed to be IRA. Who remembers those people? Has she got all of that might behind her whenever she tells the Unionist electorate, how dare they tell us that the protocol is going nowhere? Even more so, how dare the DUP actually capitulate to them and to their threats of violence? And how dare any lackey which attempt to tell me or anybody else that the protocol is gutted and it's a staging post and the border remains in the North Channel, and they are about to persuade for the DUP that the protocol actually remains. Respectfully, I say, you can put whatever it is that you think where the sun doesn't shine. Let's play this on and then we'll move on.
To say that the protocol is going nowhere.
So let's click that from our screen because we have plenty more where that came from. Right, what I'm actually going to do here, and I hope that you understand that I have to do this, is that I'm going to take a short break. And the reason why I want to take a short break is because I've been talking now for, let me get this right, 50 minutes. And, you know, this could go on for quite some time after this. And I've been talking for 50 minutes. So what I want to do is I just want to refresh myself, get a quick wee drink of something. So what I want to do is I'm going to play like a 2-minute clip of something from our archives here. And I'm going to show you maybe what it was that Ben Habib, you know, that man that is fighting with his own money for the people of Northern Ireland, for and on behalf of the people of Northern Ireland, you know, a great friend of the people of Northern Ireland. I'm going to play a clip and I'm going to let you hear what it was that Ben Habib had said whenever he joined me in a live stream just a few short weeks ago. So please listen to Ben Habib, why that it is that I get myself sorted out and ready to move on to show conclusively. And, you know, I would advise that you tag people into this live chat. I would advise that you share this screen. I would advise that if you're here for the first time, you give us a love, a like, and a share. Because look, you know, understand that we're not talkers, we are doers. We advise in the case against the protocol at the Belfast, at the judicial review in Belfast. People here at Restore advise and advised at the appeal to that judicial review. People at Restore will be at the Supreme Court in London fighting against that constitutional changing EU protocol. And what I see that is being proposed by the DUP, what is being proposed by the British government, but which is being proposed as a landing zone and accepted by everyone else, well, it doesn't remove the need for us to be at that Supreme Court either October or November of this year. And you can be rest assured that the people here at Restore, for and on behalf of the people of Northern Ireland, well, we will be at that Supreme Court and we're aiming to actually win our argument with reference. Let's ask the question, and this to me is things in a nutshell. In a democracy, if there's 4 constituent parts, you know, the United Kingdom is made up of 4 constituent parts: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Ask yourself the question, is it ever acceptable that 3 constituent parts would be treated different than 1 constituent part, and 3 constituent part would be permitted to have democracy and 1 constituent part actually wouldn't? That's a question for you. You know the answer. Leave the answer in our live chat. I'm going to play this short video clip, and then we're coming back and we're getting the next clip is what it was that Jeffrey Donaldson, the leader of the DUP, was promising on protocol rally stages. And these are the videos that you really need to watch.
Well, I mean, John, you make an absolutely pertinent point, and it's very interesting. The first time, it was you, actually, first time that really woke me up to this. When I remember in Lagan Valley, when I was doing one of the rallies, you asked the bench, Jim Allister, Robbie Butler, Jeffrey Donaldson, Kate Hoey, and me. You asked each of us whether we'd support the Belfast Agreement, and frankly, I was taken aback by your question because I was there fighting the protocol. I wasn't there fighting the Belfast Agreement, and I thought to myself, is John biting off more than we can chew? Because, yeah, I agree, the Belfast Agreement was taking defeat out of the jaws of victory, but is this now the time for the fight? And I've realized, actually, John, and it is largely down to you waking me up with that question. And then Jamie Bryson went on to say a few things that really resonated with me, that actually the Belfast Agreement, it may not be the foundation of the problem. I think the foundation of the problem may even go further back than that, like the common travel area, the right for Irish citizens to vote in Northern Ireland and so on. There may be more fundamental foundations going even further back. But the Belfast Agreement is certainly a very, very big step towards the appeasement of nationalists, the appeasement of terrorists, and turning, again, Westminster turning its back on its obligations to British citizens in Northern Ireland. And if our government can't get behind the Belfast Agreement to make it work for unionism, if our government actually tinkers with the Northern Ireland Act 1998 to foist upon unionists in Northern Ireland the protocol which is so obviously against the union, then I think the Belfast Agreement cannot be trusted. It cannot be relied on. And if that's where the government wishes to take events, if that's what it wants to put in unionism's face, then unionism must stand up to the government and say, we're not going to abide by this agreement, because the government of the United Kingdom itself isn't abiding by it. And, I think you're absolutely right in making that argument.
So a great man, a man that puts his money where his mouth is, a man that has literally offered to fund the case against the constitutional changing EU protocol, which you heard, which you and I know that Sinn Féin, along with the Alliance Party, along with the SDLP and the Green Party, and I would say with the support of the hierarchy in the Ulster Unionist Party, now there's a claim for you, that they, whilst they say that they don't like that protocol, they are EU unionists. They are not United Kingdom unionists. What was it that Mug Doug Beattie said? He said that he was a constitutional unionist and he's not an economic unionist. In other words, he is happy enough to see the destruction of the UK internal market. With words like that and with so-called friends like that within unionism, who needs enemies is the real question. So what we're about to do here is that we're about to move on. But before we move on, I want to pop something up onto the screen here. And I'm going to do this at this point. And the reason why that I am, and I'm going to put the begging bowl out. And the begging bowl's out for a reason, is that, to prepare what it was that I was doing today, some people will confirm here in our live chat, some people that work in our background, I have worked for 4 days preparing what it is that we're preparing during the day and into the night, looking through hours and hours and hours of who said what and what said who, and putting it all together to make this show. And those were 4 days that I wasn't at work. And I'm not a man with plenty of money, and I do need to live and I do need to eat. So I'm going to ask the question for 2 reasons. If you can help us, if you can click on that PayPal link, It's in the live chat in Restore UK, the British Unionist People's Voice. It's on the YouTube channel in the live chat. Now, we're also streaming to Twitter this evening. We've just opened a Twitter account, so we'll give you our Twitter account on the Restore UK soon. And we hope that if you're on Twitter, you can go along and you can follow us now on Twitter, because we're looking to broaden our audience. And in fact, we need to broaden our audience because we need to win hearts and minds. And we need to show people that your politicians, well, they are not worthy of representing you. And we need to try take those people and we need to give them a home within a real People's Party here in Northern Ireland. And that People's Party, well, they got 65, almost 66,000 votes at the last election. And we need to ensure that if the DUP are going to play fast and loose with our place in the United Kingdom, they are going to accept anything whenever that we don't want it or we don't need it or we will never accept it. Well, if that's what the DUP and the UUP are going to do, we need to consign the DUP and the UUP to the dustbins of history. And I say that with respect. So if you can help us, click on that PayPal link, put a few pounds in. It helps me personally to take 4 days off to prepare for something like this. Also, we will be going to the Supreme Court and nobody's funding us to be there. We're going to have all the costs and the expenses of 3 or 4 people over how many days. And, well, we need your help because many hands make light work. And if you can afford anything, click on that link and put a few pounds in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that down. We're going to kick that from our screen and we're now going to move on. Now, this is where things will really become interesting. If you're interested in the continuation of Northern Ireland as part of the United Kingdom, well, let's just watch and let's just understand what it was that, say, for example, Jeffrey Donaldson was saying on protocol rally stages, what it was that he was promising the electorate here in Northern Ireland. And let's try to understand, is he keeping up with his end of the bargain? Well, that's a question for the people that is watching this screen and that will come to watch this screen in the very, very near future.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for your welcome back to Ballymoney. I'm pleased to be here this evening, and I brought my orange collarette, which I will wear later in the parade. We are standing together to say very clearly that this is not acceptable, and we will not put up with the subjugation of our rights as citizens of the United Kingdom. I want the message to go out from this place that we stand united in our aspiration and in our clear position that the protocol is not acceptable and it must go. And that.
So the protocol isn't acceptable. We stand united in our aspirations that the protocol isn't acceptable and the protocol must go. Now you remember those words, the protocol must go, because they are very relevant to what you're going to hear very soon, whenever it is that we show you how that incrementally the DUP has softened their words and how incrementally that they have moved from the protocol must go to the protocol is now somehow acceptable. And we're going to show this conclusively, and I'm asking for the people that is watching this screen to make up your own mind. Well, are we, do we deserve to have this after how many years? 1969 going forward, we've been bombed, we've been shot at, we've been cajoled, we've been threatened. People in Northern Ireland, we wanted to live an ordinary, decent life, and we've lived a real, we've lived a nightmare, is the truth of that matter. And here we are being treated like this at this late hour. And, whenever that we should be being looked after. In fact, I believe that every person here in Northern Ireland has never lived through the troubles, I may add, that the British security forces often could have stopped. Well, I believe that every person here not only deserves a medal, but they deserve huge compensation for what it is that they had to go through and now how it is that they're being treated. We should be respected for what it is that we came through. not treated as second-class citizens, and not disrespected by politicians that we give our vote to just a few weeks ago. And now they are softening their language, and whilst the Jeffrey would have says that the protocol must go here in Ballymoney, County Antrim, and many other stages across this province, just watch how I show you how that the language is softened and how that he is welcoming the protocol is actually remaining.
That is the message we need to send out, from that we want and we demand what we were promised. That we're not asking for something we haven't been told we're entitled to. We are not asking for something that we haven't already been told we should have.
So we're not asking for anything that we're not entitled to. I'll grant that. We're not asking for anything that we haven't been told or that we understand that we shouldn't have. Now look at the picture in the background there. It says anti-protocol parade and rally. Now remember those words. That's how those rallies were being sold by the organisers. Anti-protocol parade and rally. That's what it was. That's what Jeffrey Donaldson was standing on that platform on the ticket of, is anti-protocol parade and rally. And he stood right across this province on an anti-protocol ticket. Now, let me show you where that it is that Jeffrey Donaldson has moved to since the DUP. And I say this respectfully, if this is where the DUP are leading you since that they swindled your vote.
We're simply asking for that which is our right. So let us continue to stand together, united in our determination that
So let us stand together, united in the determination that the protocol must go. And we'll let those words be finished in a second. But I stopped here for a purpose, is that it says here at the very bottom, it says at the top, the protocol must go. It says the democratic rights should be fully restored. And this is what Jeffrey goes on to say, that the democratic rights should be fully. There's no ambiguity about that word, fully, that our democratic rights should be fully restored. And that means that we should be equal citizens. We are asking for equality with the rest of the United Kingdom. We are asking for equality with England, Scotland and Wales. We want our Brexit referendum vote used or accepted and awarded in the same way as people in England, Scotland and Wales. And anything less is a compromise on your rights as a citizen of the United Kingdom. You remember that. And Jeffrey Donaldson is saying this on that stage, and then watch and then understand how that it was and how that it is that the same Jeffrey Donaldson has moved and is now trying to persuade you that this, what's about to be done, is a good deal for the people of Northern Ireland. Let's finish this clip. Let's kick it off the screen because we've some more to go.
the protocol must go and our democratic rights as British citizens should be fully restored. Thank you.
So our democratic rights as British citizens should be fully, quote unquote, restored. Restore UK. That's what you call this channel. Give us a like, give us a love, give us a share. Put some messages in the live chat. Tag people into the live stream, because you're just scratching the surface of what it is that we have documented and what it is that we want to show you we believe in a conclusive way. And we want you and everyone else to make up their own minds as to who's on your side, who's not on your side, which lackeys are trying to persuade for and on behalf of the DUP to get you to accept the DUP's climb down position, and all for what? All so that they can be elevated in their own personal form. Let's play on. Let's play on. Like, people, leave some messages in the live chat. Tell me what you think so far. Tell me if you believe that we at Restore are doing things in the right way. Tag people into the live chat. Give us a like, give us a love, give us a share. Get those numbers up, because more people needs to see this screen. The numbers are high, and more people needs to see this screen than is actually watching now. Now, we understand that the social media platforms, because that we respect our place in the United Kingdom, because that we want to see the continuation of the United Kingdom, because that we wanted to leave the dictatorial Ponzi scheme that is the EU, because we detest globalization. And why? Because they're filling our countries with uncontrollable immigration. They are overburdening our already overburdened services. Our housing is getting dear. There is no housing left for our nearest and dearest. We can't get hospital treatment. We can't get doctor's treatment. When the world comes in to drive a wedge between us, we shouldn't let them win. We need to fight this with everything that we have. Let's play another video clip. Sorry about that. Remove that one from the screen. Now listen to Jeffrey as time has moved on. Now that was before the election, on the protocol rally stages that you just heard there, that we should be fully restored. Our democratic rights should be fully restored. Should be. Was that the little get out clause? Who knows? Because you do have to listen to the words of politicians. You really have to listen to the words. So let's play on.
The situation remains as it was, and that is that we need to see the issues around the protocol dealt with decisively by the government. We need.
So post-election, our stand is exactly as it was. This is what he's saying. Now just listen very carefully to what he actually is saying, and listen very carefully to what has been omitted from what it is that he does say when he says that the issues around the protocol have to be sorted out. I'm going to say that again. The issues around the protocol have to be sorted, but not the protocol. I'm going to wind that back again, and I want you to listen to this clip very, very carefully. So that was Jeffrey before the election when he says that the protocol has to go, that the border has to go, that everything to do with the protocol, it isn't acceptable and it has to go. And this was Jeffrey Donaldson in the Great Hall of Stormont with his elected MLAs. Now listen to this language from the DUP, and you make your own decision as to what's not in this language whenever you hear that the issues around the protocol need to be sorted. Just the issues around, but not the protocol. And listen very carefully. Let's wind that back.
Post-election, our position remains as it was, and that is that we need to see the issues around the protocol dealt with decisively by the government. We need decisive action by the government to address the difficulties created by the protocol, whether that is driving up the cost of living, whether that is the harm that it's doing to businesses and our economy, or indeed in undermining political stability in Northern Ireland. The protocol needs to be dealt with. We sought a mandate from people to adopt the stance that we have taken.
And let's kick that from the screen and let's move on. You see, notice how the protocol had to go, and then it was the issues around the protocol had to be dealt with. We sought a mandate, he says. Well, his mandate wasn't for dealing with the issues around the protocol. And remember what it was that happened on Monday. And in case you forget, we're not going to let you forget. Stay with this screen. You know, I'm asking you, even if you go to bed early, you stay up late tonight so that you can understand what your political leaders are doing in you, what that DUP has done consistently every single time that they get your vote. They swindle your vote. They tell you one thing and they go and they do the complete opposite of that which they claimed that they would represent for you before that it was that they come out and they seeked your vote. So let's now just play another clip by Jeffrey Donaldson, and then we're going to move on to something even more clear as the night as night and day. We're going to show you in a conclusive way where this landing zone has landed and what it is that Jeffrey Donaldson has actually accepted as a landing zone, and what it is that Jeffrey Donaldson has congratulated. Well, wait and see. There's a few more video clips to play, and well, you won't be, Well, you'll not be disappointed that you watch this screen and that you got a clear understanding of what it is that your leaders are doing in plain sight, if you care to actually watch very closely.
Covered a range of issues in his article. Some of them I would agree with him on, other aspects I wouldn't agree with him on. Well, we're in a negotiating process and people start from different points, but in the end, it's the outcome that matters.
So we're in a negotiating process. People start from different points, and at the end, it's the outcome that matters. But what happened to the red lines? What happened to the protocol must go? What happened to your democratic right must be respected? What happened to all of that? What happened to the promises on the protocol stage? Now it's a negotiation that he's in. But let's just play on.
We recognise that, for example, goods moving from the United Kingdom into the European Union directly, of course, have to be subject to customs arrangements.
So goods moving from the United Kingdom into Northern Ireland, well, of course, there has to be a border in the North Channel to check them. There has to be a border between England, Scotland and Wales in Northern Ireland. Whatever happened to no sea border? The border has to go, the protocol has to go, which delivered and put in place that border. Whatever happened to those things that were being said on those protocol rally stages? Whatever happened to enough is enough? Because as far as I'm concerned, enough still is enough. And tomorrow and the next day and next week and the week after, for every single British unionist in this country, enough has to be enough. Unless, of course, that you want to lose every single thing that you've ever believed in. And if you follow Jeffrey Donaldson and the DUP and their rollover and their climb downs, of course, you will lose everything that you've ever believed in. Everything that people in this country has fought and died for over the years, it will have all been in vain. Whilst Jeffrey and his merry band of sellout merchants, followed by Doug Beattie, well, they will deliver you to this so-called New Ireland before that you know it.
The EU is a foreign entity, and therefore goods entering the EU are subject to a customs regime. Yeah. But there is, and we need to agree how that happens in practice and what those arrangements look like. But I am very clear that on the movement of goods within the United Kingdom, there's no need for this Irish Sea border. It needs to be removed because it is harming our economy and undermining political stability in Northern Ireland.
So for the movement of goods here in Northern Ireland, or coming to Northern Ireland from England, Scotland and Wales, I am clear that there's got to be no checks. Now remember exactly what he said there, and then we're going to give you a breakdown of what happened in the Parliament just a few days ago, whenever Liz Truss on Tuesday would have delivered how the government were outlining how they were going to proceed, and watch how Jeffrey actually welcomes what it is that Liz Truss would have said. But however, listen carefully whenever I show you what it was that Liz Truss would have said. Now, what I want to do is that I want to go to another video here as we go, and I want to play you a little clip from Mr. Poots. Now, this is something that started last Wednesday on Nolan TV Live, whenever Mr. Poots, now this is a clear indicator of where the DUP were actually going from last Wednesday, just a few days after the Assembly elections. Last Wednesday on the Nolan Show Live, listen to what Mr. Poots admits to, and admits that the DUP will actually accept. Now listen very carefully. We'll come back and we'll talk more about the DUP. Now we're going to focus on Liz Truss in 3 different clips, and you're going to get your eyes opened as to what was being proposed the other day by the British government, and what that it is that the DUP are accepting, and what that it is that their lackeys are persuading for.
There is no reason whatsoever that the European Union is demanding that goods which are consumed in Northern Ireland should have to go through customs. There's no reason that they have to go through SPS checks, because those goods cause no threat whatsoever to the European Union single market. And we will do our utmost, the DUP will do its utmost to ensure that the integrity of the European Union single market is kept.
Okay, so will you accept and implement checks in Belfast, in ports in Northern Ireland, for goods that are intended to go on to the Republic of Ireland?
Absolutely no issue. They can be in Belfast, they can be anywhere else in Northern Ireland, but we are happy to ensure that goods transiting Northern Ireland to go to the European Union will be checked, and that we will do our bit to ensure the integrity of the European Union single market.
So there was Edwin Poots being asked, will they check, will the DUP be happy to check goods in Belfast? Absolutely no problem, he says. We will check goods, we will keep the Poots posts in Larne, in Belfast and in Warrenpoint, and we will check EU goods coming to Northern Ireland. And let's understand something very, very clearly. That is an EU border. That is the border being moved. That is moving the boundaries. That is pushing the boundaries. And that is moving the boundaries back from the border between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic. And that is moving that EU border to the Irish Sea between Northern Ireland, England, Scotland and Wales. Now, if that is happening, if that is still in existence, that constitutes a border. And the protocol has to remain in order for that border to stay. Now, don't take my word for it, because we're going to show you conclusively that this is what the British government are actually persuading for, or what the British government are offering as a landing zone, and what it is that Jeffrey Donaldson has actually accepted in principle for and on behalf of the DUP, and by extension for and on behalf of the people here in Northern Ireland. And they do not have my authority to do this, and I hope that they don't have your authority to do this here. I think sometimes that what they're hoping for is that people will have give up, that people, after years and years of betrayal, people are so worn down that they roll over, that they fall over, and that there'll be no fight left in them. Well, not if I have anything to do with it, because what we're aiming to do here is that we're aiming to win people's hearts and minds, and to show people that your political leaders are actually selling you out, that they will be looked after nicely, thank you, as in the words of Carson. You were a humble rung in a ladder that helped them climb into power, and once they climbed into power, they kick away the ladder with no concern for you. Now, that was me paraphrasing of something that Carson would have said just over 100 years ago, but that is applicable to what the DUP have done in the general election of 2019, and they've done exactly the same in the assembly elections of 2022. That DUP, well, they have not changed their spots. That DUP leopard is what I was going to say, hasn't changed its spots, and never will, and never will. So we're going to play a little clip here from Liz Truss. Now, we have some more video clips to go on, and we're going to get through these as quickly as we can, because we want to complete this documentation of how that it is that you are being shafted, how that it is that you're being swindled, how that it is that you're going to be, it's going to be an attempt to persuade you to accept this DUP climb down position, which will in effect mean that you are second-class citizens within the United Kingdom, that you will not have had your democracy upheld, that there will be a form of constitutional change, that the EU will still have a foothold in this country, that the border will have moved from Killeen and around the Irish border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and that border will have been moved and physically placed in the Irish Sea, separating you and I and everyone else in Northern Ireland from England, Scotland and Wales. No tinkering with the protocol. Who remembers those words? No tinkering will be accepted. That's what I heard. Enough is enough. I also heard that. Now it appears that some people and some people's lackeys are persuading for, well, us to remain a part of the EU. Let's play this. Now, this is one of the most important clips. The next three clips are the very important clips that we're going to play here on this entire screen. And please leave your messages in the live chat. Please give us a like, a love and a share, and that way we get to invite you to your channel on social media, and that way that we can continuously update you, upgrade you on in terms of what it is that your politicians are doing before you're in plain sight, and they're telling they're doing one thing and they're telling you the complete opposite. So let's now play what it was that Liz Truss had to say. Now, I went through just over 2 hours of video clips to get these 3 clips out. And, you know, it took quite a bit of time, you know, going back over and looking and understanding and getting the clips that actually tell you, you know, the tale that you can put this jigsaw together with whenever that you hear what it is that they have to say. So this is what Jeffrey Donaldson is welcoming. This is what others are welcoming. And this is what some people, some great unionists who are installed as leaders and want to be leaders and want to show themselves to be leaders, well, this is what they're leading you into when they tell you that trust the British government. You know, they're bringing out legislation and all's going to be fine. And, you know, and what we should do is we should separate from the rest of the United Kingdom in terms of trade whenever there's a green lane and a red lane placed in the North Channel, where it'll allow hauliers to, you know, if they're going to the EU, to be in the red lane, and it'll allow hauliers from coming to Northern Ireland to be in the green lane. Now, would you believe that both of those lanes are still going to be subject to checks? That's not what the DUP are trying to persuade. That's not what others are trying to persuade. So if that's the case, there's light touch, you know, adjustments to the protocol. But what has changed? Now, don't take my word for it. Listen to these next 3 video clips and you assess for yourself if what Jeffrey Donaldson is welcoming, well, does Jeffrey Donaldson, respectfully, does he need his head looked at?
Propose what we believe to be a comprehensive and reasonable solution to deliver on the objectives of the protocol. This includes a trusted trader scheme to provide the EU with real-time commercial data, giving them confidence that goods intended for Northern Ireland are not entering the EU single market.
So we'll just stop that. We'll bring it back and we'll change the screen so that we can talk about it, so that we can just understand what Liz Truss just said there, and so that we can emphasize, so that there's no ifs or buts, or there's no, you know, so that people understand fully what the implications of what Liz Truss just said there. So
the UK has proposed what we believe to be a comprehensive and reasonable solution to deliver on the objectives of the protocol. This includes a trusted trader scheme.
So let's just stop there. So we're given a comprehensive look at the protocol, paraphrase words, and we're going to implement a trusted trader scheme, which means that the goods coming from England, Scotland and Wales to Northern Ireland, that the hauliers, you know, internal UK market, that people from England, Scotland and Wales come to Northern Ireland, it'll be able to go down a green channel, and they're given some sort of certification for and on behalf of the EU to travel into Northern Ireland to deliver goods to this part of the United Kingdom. Now ask yourself the question, is that a border? Is that divergence from what the people of England, Scotland and Wales enjoy between each other? Why is it that Northern Ireland is separated from the rest of the United Kingdom in such a fashion? And then listen very carefully to what she has to say. So there's first a trusted trader scheme
to provide the EU with real-time commercial data, giving them confidence that goods intended for Northern Ireland are not entering the EU single market.
So they are also proposing giving the EU, you know, information to say that this is all we're delivering to our other part of the United Kingdom, to Northern Ireland. You know, that you know, this is what the EU requirements are. I ask yourself another question: is that a separation from the rest of the United Kingdom? Where else in the entire United Kingdom is there such a border where people say, for example, from London to Manchester, do they have to have a trusted trader scheme? Do they have to send information off to the EU? And I will tell you this also, when you look into it, that the EU want to have oversight. They actually want to be manning those posts, and they want to be doing sporadic checks on the goods coming from here, from England, Scotland and Wales to Northern Ireland. Now, remember what Mr. Poots said. Now, Mr. Poots and the DUP, they're, as I'm going to say, over the detail of this as I am. I've had to go and find it for myself The people here at Restore feeding the information into us. So we've spent hours, days, 4 days, looking at a lot of things, trying to understand what it is that actually is being proposed. You make no mistake, the DUP fully understand that there is going to be a border, and yet when on Nolan's show last Wednesday, Mr. Poots had said that the DUP will accept borders on behalf of the EU in Belfast, and by extension in Larne, Belfast, and on Warren Point. Now, let's remind ourselves of how these things happen. You know, as I said, that there is position papers that is passed between these political parties. We understand this. If you were watching from the start, you will have noticed that this landing zone that they were all talking about was that there would be, free movement of goods from England, Scotland, and Wales to Northern Ireland. That was the landing zone that the Americans had accepted, that the Europeans had accepted, that the Irish government had accepted, and now it seems that the British government are hoping to implement this landing zone. That is the landing zone that Mr. Poots had accepted last Wednesday on the Nolan show. And that's the point whenever I nearly fell off my seat whenever I heard Mr. Poots saying that. And, you know, you've always got to be wary whenever some people, whenever they overstep the mark in terms of their remit, whenever, you know, they promised us that on those protocol rally stages, that the protocol had to go, that we would have to have our full democratic right within the United Kingdom respected and once more installed. That's what they promised us on those protocol rally stages. And last Wednesday on the Nolan show, Mr. Poots was beginning the process of rollback, after which would follow a persuasion process, expecting you, I, and everyone else to walk and go with the DUP, and in a way that we fully accept our separation from the rest of the United Kingdom. Now, whenever I see that happening, I always ask the question, who puts wind in their sails? And you believe me, the DUP didn't do this alone. The DUP have had much discussion with community groups, community leaders, with, you know, people in different authorities around Northern Ireland. And largely the DUP thought that they would have thought that they have garnered enough support to be able to push this through. And we've seen this at the New Decade, New Deal approach stages, but we're not going to get into that because we want to stay fixated and focused on what it is that we're doing today. So who put wind in the DUP sails to roll over and to capitulate, and now to try to go into sales mode, to try to reverse what it was that they were promising whenever it was that they were asking for your vote on those protocol rally stages? Let's play on. So let's kick that from our screen. Now, what we're going to do, stick with us, stay with us. Again, tag people into the live chat. Leave your messages in the live chat. Give us a love, a like, and a share, and continue on. Continue to listen. It'll go on for perhaps another, I'm going to say 20 minutes or so, but we have to get through these video clips so that you understand that the DUP have completely rolled, have completely shafted you, and are now in persuasion mode with their lackeys to try to bluff the people of Northern Ireland. Will not if we have anything to do with it.
To the House that this is not about scrapping the protocol. Our aim is to...
What did she just say there? What did Liz Truss just say there? Let's just take that back a bit. Let's listen again.
I want to be clear to the House that this is not about scrapping the protocol. Our aim is to deliver on the protocol's objectives.
Our aim is to deliver on the protocol's objectives. This is what the British government are saying. Let's play on.
We will cement those provisions which are working in the protocol, including the common travel area, the single electricity market, and North-South cooperation, whilst fixing those elements that aren't. I want to be clear to the House that this is not about scrapping the protocol. I want to be clear to the House that this is not about scrapping the protocol.
I want to be clear to the House that this is not about scrapping the protocol. Who remembers Jeffrey Donaldson on the stages, on the protocol rally stages? The protocol must go. We will not be entering power sharing arrangements in Stormont unless the protocol is gone. Now let me go on, and now let you listen to Liz Truss one more time for further clarification on other things that she said, and then let's go on and let's listen to Jeffrey Donaldson yet again. Let's play some more from Liz Truss.
Makes the EU no worse off. You know, we have proposals to protect the single market, to make sure that there is enforcement of the green lane and the red lane. So I would hope that they look at our proposals in a reasonable way, as we are putting them forward in a reasonable way, and that we can work together on a solution.
So let's now roll that back a bit, okay? And let's do what we do. Let's break Liz Truss's words down here, because now we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of what the British government were proposing just a few days ago, and which Jeffrey Donaldson was welcoming. Not only was he welcoming Liz Truss's words, but what he said was that this forms the basis by which power sharing could get up and running again. That's what he said. That's what he said. But what did he say in the protocol rally stages? He said that the protocol has to go. But yet now, power sharing seemingly isn't that far off if Liz Truss can deliver this proposal that she's offering right here. Now just listen again to what it is that Liz Truss is proposing, and we're going to stop and we're going to start as we go.
Our solution makes the EU no worse off. You know, we have proposals to protect the single market, to make sure that there is enforcement of the green lane and...
Did you hear that? So our proposals will leave the EU no worse off. Our proposals will make sure that there's enforcement in the green lane. Now, what's the green lane? Let's remind ourselves of what that green lane is. That green lane is the method by which goods would come to Northern Ireland, which is meant to be free-flowing. But what did Liz Truss just say there? We will ensure that there's enforcement in that green lane. Let's listen again.
Enforcement of the green lane and the red lane. So I would hope that they look at our proposals in a reasonable way, as we are putting them forward in a reasonable way, and that we can work together on a solution.
There you go. In a nutshell, that's what the British government were proposing just a few days ago. They were proposing checks on EU goods coming from Northern Ireland. They were proposing that push posts would remain in Larne, in Belfast and in Warrenpoint. They were proposing that there would be checks on goods, and they would enforce the checks on goods coming to Northern Ireland. And they also would enforce the checks on the goods for and on behalf of the EU going to the Republic of Ireland. Now, there is a simple solution to this, people. This isn't complicated at all. This, in my honest opinion, is just here so that there is this complication, so that it keeps us focused on the protocol. Meanwhile, there's a lot more things that we should be focused on, because there's a lot more things going on coming from governments around the world, coming from our own government, coming from our own capo, like politicians that we elected. You know, we're being focused on something whilst other things are happening in the background. Shame on them. Shame on them. And shame on them again. So we're not finished yet. We're not finished yet. What we're going to do is we're going to play another few video clips just to finish this off, and just to document fully how that it is that you are, if you believed the other day that you had a good deal, if you are being told by some of the DUP lackeys that it's a great deal, that it's a staging post, that the protocol is gutted out and it's in a corpse-like fashion, if that's what you were being told, I'm only saying this respectfully, the people that are telling you that is wrong. And the person that is telling you that, I'm saying, these are my words, you, sir, are wrong. We've been around for a very, very long time. We have been watching how that it is that our politicians have shafted us time and time and time again. A lifetime of betrayal has taught us to smell betrayal even before it comes. Let's watch some more videos. Let's watch some more videos before that we move on, before that we close, and before the people on this screen is left in absolutely no doubt to who's on your side, who's not on your side, who is prepared to persuade for a really bad deal in order to see themselves elevated to a position of self-importance. Let's play some more video. Let's look for a video file. Now, I'm going to talk through this whilst I look for the video file. If you just bear with me for a second or two. I have to go to videos. I'll talk through it. Here's a go. I have to go into this little, here we go. So what I want to do now is I want to play Jeffrey Donaldson welcoming in what it was that Liz Truss had just said there.
Today is a welcome, if overdue, step. That is a significant move towards addressing the problems created by the protocol and getting power sharing based upon a cross-community consensus up and running again.
Now, let's just go back. Let's understand what it was that Jeffrey said. So I showed you that the border checks are going to be there, that the putsch posts are still going to be there, that the border is still going to remain in the North Channel, that we are still separated. Who can argue that we are not separated? Who can argue that we are not a place apart from the United Kingdom? Who can argue that there isn't those circumstances between Scotland and England and Wales? Who can argue that we are not second-class British citizens and we are not full members of the United Kingdom, whenever that the Green Lane still will have enforcement and the EU are pushing for oversight over that enforcement? And who's to say that they won't have it? Now let's hear what this man just said was acceptable to him.
The statement today is a welcome, if overdue, step. That is a significant move towards addressing the problems created by the protocol and getting power sharing based upon a cross-community consensus up and running again.
So the statement today was welcome. It's a good step. It's a welcome step, which would get power sharing up and running again. The protocol must go. That's what he says in those stages, and there will be no power sharing unless that the protocol is gone and it confirmed in Crossgar to everyone and the people who would have voted for him. He confirmed that the protocol had to go in every way, shape and fashion, that the border in the North Channel, the Irish Sea, that it had to go. And, whenever I would say, I talked about, the Achilles heel of this whole problem is the Belfast Agreement. Threaten their Belfast Agreement, their precious agreement. And if the DUP had done that last January, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in. And that's how I tackled Jeffrey Donaldson in Crossgar in front of that entire hall, whenever I said, if anything happens to the place that we have in the United Kingdom, if anything happens to Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland is separated from the United Kingdom, I hold the DUP hierarchy completely responsible for not having moved in January last year, whenever that protocol came into being. Whenever Jeffrey Donaldson, let's remember, was saying, well, it's here and we have to exploit the benefits of the protocol. Whenever Mr. Poots was saying that, well, it gives us opportunities to export, I kid you not, to the rest of the Great Britain market. We are the United Kingdom. What is in this man's head? We are the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland is a place in the United Kingdom, and Poots wanted to export from Northern Ireland to the GB market. Did them people sound like leaders to you? You certainly don't to me. Let's look on. Let's look at another video. Let's listen to Gavin Robinson. Let's hear what I'm doing this so that you understand in an absolute conclusive way what these people are up to behind your back.
To rejoining the power sharing executive, yes or no?
Well, we are, because they have accepted the issues that need to be dealt with. They now need to be dealt with.
So what was it that Mr. Robinson said there, Mr. Gavin Robinson? I listened very carefully. We're going to do what we do.
So just in a word then, are you any closer tonight to rejoining the power sharing executive, yes or no?
Well, we are, because they have accepted the issues that need to be dealt with. They now need to be dealt with.
So Gavin Robinson, who would have sat in that parliament the other day and who would have listened to Liz Truss, do you know, does he have some sort of legal standing? Correct me if I'm wrong. Put it into the live chat. Is he legally minded? He says, well, they've accepted the issues that we needed dealt with. This tells you what the DUP hierarchy are at. They have accepted the issues that we need dealt with, and they're dealing with them. And if they deal with them, power sharing will be back up and running. And that's me paraphrasing again. But yet I'm showing you, I'm telling you, I have shown you what it is that the British government are proposing, and how that it is that the DUP are trying to present this separation of Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom. They're trying to present this as a win for you. DUP delivery is what you're going to expect in the next few days. Let's look again. Now we're coming to a close. We're about to play our last video. And, you know, what I would like for you to do, is I would like for you to tell me what you thought of what it was that we presented. This was for long days and nights worth of work, pouring over lots of information. We had a lot more than this. There's only so much that we can fit in here. Tell us what you think. Has it ever been done by ordinary people from within British unionism before? Has anyone ever held politicians to the account in such a fashion? Would you offer your support for Restore UK? Let's play the last video. Let's play this last video. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to do something that I suggested that I would do, that I said I would do on one day after the general election. And I have a prop here. I have something sitting here, and I'm going to avail of it. And the reason why I can avail of this, what I'm about to do in a minute, is because that I'm satisfied. I am completely satisfied that the DUP are leading you and the Unionist Electorate up the garden path. They are leading you down the road to a new Ireland. They are happy to do this because it gets them kudos. It gets the hierarchy of the DUP merit points on the world stage. The last video is this, and I want you to watch this video. I want you to understand this video. And then whenever this video is over, we're going to raise a glass, and we're going to raise a glass not in celebration, but in recognition that we called this the day after the election, that we have been constantly calling this here at Restore UK, and that, well, you see, a lifetime of betrayal has taught us not only to see it when it happens, but to smell it coming. Here we go.
Together, united in our determination that the protocol must go and our democratic rights as British citizens should be fully restored. Thank you.
I want to be clear to the House that this is not about scrapping the protocol. Our aim is to deliver on the protocol's objectives.
The statement today is a welcome, if overdue, step. That is a significant move towards addressing the problems created by the protocol and getting power sharing based upon a cross-community consensus up and running again.
Our aim is to deliver on the protocol's objectives, that this is not about scrapping the protocol.
So let's roll back for a moment. Let's roll back. And as you see, this is the before shot. This is before the election. In front of you, we'll make it bigger for you. Before the election, anti-protocol parade and rally is high. You know, should we be taking these people to the trades descriptions people for misrepresenting what they were doing on stages right around Northern Ireland, swindling people for their vote? Now, I'm saying should we take these people? There were some genuine decent people on that stage, equally being swindled like you, I, and everyone else. Let's play this. Before the election, what was it he was saying?
So let us continue to stand together, united in our determination that the protocol must go and our democratic rights as British citizens should be fully restored.
So the protocol must go. Yet again, just to recap, the protocol must go. I don't look, is there any combination of that, what he said? The protocol must go. And our democratic rights should be fully restored, which means that we would be afforded the same democracy as people in England, Scotland and Wales. We form part of that 17.4 plus million people that voted in the Brexit referendum. We were part of that winning electorate, which won that. And democratically, we have that right. So what he's saying there is that the democratic rights should be fully restored. So this is what he was selling on those protocol rally stages. Now listen.
Thank you.
I want to be clear to the House that this is not about scrapping the protocol. Our aim is to deliver on the protocol's objectives.
The statement today is a welcome.
So, am I missing something here? Am I missing something? Are you missing something? In Ballymoney in County Antrim on that stage, he was promising that crowd, vote for me, because the protocol must go and your democratic right must be restored. Liz Truss just said that the protocol isn't going anywhere. And Jeffrey Donaldson said that he welcomes it. And he's saying that that forms the basis of the DUP getting the Assembly back up and running again. Now, I'm not going to go any further here. I'm not going to, call this for you. I want you as a person, as people. I want you to work this out for yourself. Do you trust the DUP? Should the DUP trust the British government? Do you trust Jeffrey Donaldson? Do you trust Edmund Poots? Poor Poots. Poots is being used. Poots was pushed out by the DUP onto the Nolan show to say that he would accept Poots' posts. And he doesn't even realise that he's been used like a well-tuned fiddle by these charlatans. I have to say, and I have to say this about Mr. Poots, is that he was never anything but blatantly honest with us. Whenever, for example, in 2019, before the general election, he called us to his office, and he told us what the DUP were going to do in terms of permitting an Irish language commissioner. Now, we may not have liked what they were going to do, and we may not have liked what he was saying, but we have to take our hats off to him for being absolutely open and honest. And, I think that there's more to Poots than meets the eye. That's my honest opinion. And I see him being used here by more sinister people. And I don't mean Jeffrey Donaldson, and I don't mean Timmy Johnston in the DUP headquarters and those that work out the policy and the strategy of the DUP. More sinister people means those that are pushing Northern Ireland into this new Ireland. I've said it before, and I'm now going to say it again. Are our mainstream political leaders being run directly from Whitehall? It looks like it to me. That is a question. That is a real question that I and you and everyone else is entitled to ask in what's left of our democracy. Democracy was denied here in Northern Ireland with reference to the Brexit referendum. You know, we've suffered here in Northern Ireland all of my life. And the odd insult to the injury to those that would have suffered, well, we continue to be the kicking and the whipping boys of all and sundry. And those that we elect, well, they're not prepared to stand up for us. They're not prepared to serve and protect us in the way that we actually deserve. So onwards and upwards, I say, onwards and upwards in the determination that we would have to expose these people, watching their every move, poring over their every single word, and showing to the people what it is that they're doing in your name. Are they walking over the graves of every single person that has lost their lives here in Northern Ireland? That's a question. That's a real question. Let's play us out with Jeffrey, and then let's get to the toast in recognition that we weren't wrong.
If overdue step. That is a significant move towards addressing the problems created by the protocol and getting power sharing based upon a cross-community consensus up and running again.
Our aim is to deliver on the protocol's objectives, that this is not about scrapping the protocol.
So let's kick that from the screen. Excuse me. So, the day after the general election, whenever the DUP had swindled your vote, and that's what I'm claiming. That's what I'm claiming. And it's up to the DUP to come. And it's up to the DUP to prove in words and in actions and in deeds that they're not swindling your vote. They're not swindling my vote. You know what the problem is here? Is that some of us can think for ourselves. We can't have the wool pulled over our eyes. We won't let the wool be pulled over other people's eyes. I remember the day that we met Edwin Poots in the office in Lisburn, 28th of December 2019, myself and John Ross, whenever that we were pushing hard against the push to have what I call an IRA Language Act put into place. And you know that we had formed a team. We had requested, and fair enough to Jeffrey Donaldson, he had got the meeting with the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland for myself and a team to go and to try to plead with the government that we should not allow for this IRA Language Act to be put in place. And you know, we put together a team consisting of a professor of the Gaelic language from Dublin, Shirley McMichael, John McMichael's wife, who was on the policing board and who had experience in running these dual language events for and on behalf of the policing board. She was probably one of the only people in Northern Ireland that had run these events. And she says that, you know, she was wanting to learn Irish. And whenever that she went through these dual language events, she says that she lost the will to live, because what would have taken maybe an hour was taken 2 or maybe 3 hours. And, you know, she says it was monotonous, and she says it put her off even going and wanting to learn the Irish language. So that's the effect that it had on Shirley McMichael. You know, contrary to popular belief, instead of making people want it, it actually takes people away from it. But that's not what Republicans want. Republicans have a nation-building strategy, and in the words of Shana Walsh, they want to use the Irish language to green Northern Ireland street by street using the Irish language. And that is words straight out of Sinn Féin IRA. Shana Walsh was a dirty protester. Whilst I open this, just for a bit of knowledge here, he was the man that may have actually designed the dirty protest strategy. Now, what type of a nut job would say, because this is exactly what he said. He said that he didn't have any weapons to fight the British with. The only weapon that he had was his excrement. So he took that weapon out and he used that weapon against himself by spreading the excrement all around the cell walls and living in the filth and the stink and the flies and everything that comes with it. Do you know, he had no weapon to use against the British, so he decided to use his excrement in a way that not only did he shoot himself in the foot, not only did they shoot themselves in the foot, but I think that they blew their legs right off. So we're going to take something from this case right now, and please leave your messages in the live chat. Did you like the stream? Probably this was the most important stream that we at Restore will ever do, or have done to date, let's just say. No doubt there'll be more sellout coming down our line whenever we have treacherous people in political power, as we've just shown you. So tonight, now it's slightly spelt wrong, right? But I showed this on screen just a couple of weeks ago, and a friend who I'm involved in the judicial review, the appeal against the judicial review, which has gone on to the appeal court with reference, trying to defeat the constitutional changing EU protocol which is in place. You know, a friend of mine was in England, and he sent me this bottle, and he said to me, you know, I have a bottle of wine just for you that you know, no doubt that you can save for a special day. And I said 2 Saturdays ago that I will open this not in celebration, but in recognition that what we were warning of, well, it appears that what we were warning of was actually true. Now, the term capo, K-A-P-O, is the proper pronunciation of it, but that's close enough. It still says the same thing. It's a terminology that was used for Jews who led their own people into the gas chambers. They became known as the capo. They were working for the Germans, leading their own people into the gas chambers and burning their bodies and stripping them of teeth and everything else. Contrary to popular belief, it was Jews who killed Jews, and they became known as capo. Do we have a form of capo here in Northern Ireland that would seek to implement an Irish Sea border, contrary to what they had promised you and I and everyone else on those protocol rally stages? Here's a real question. Do we have a form of capo here in Northern Ireland? That's a question for you. I'm going to open this bottle of wine because I said that I would drink this whenever I can prove that capos exist, that there are people who are willing to see us separated from the rest of the United Kingdom, playing for themselves, getting their own selves sorted out, their career advancements, etc., 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 becoming sirs, being in charge of peace groups, being envoys to different places like Cameroon, Egypt, having not only double jobs, but jobbing in such a way that, well, as one man would have said, you can only make peace with your enemies if you can bring your friends along. Making peace with your enemies isn't as hard, this is me paraphrasing, as making peace with your friends. Well, this man that said that, he is totally failing to make peace with this friend. We offered a lot to the DUP. We worked tirelessly for the DUP before the last general election. Some of us put our money, our hands in our own pockets to pay for halls, to pay for insurances for halls to get the DUP elected. And once they got elected in 2019, well, they done the opposite of that which they had promised us. So a lifetime of betrayal has taught us to smell betrayal when we see it. So tonight, in recognition that Jeffrey Donaldson is doing the complete opposite of that which he promised on the protocol stages, and I've shown that, and I hope you've seen that. And if anybody wants any further clarification that that's happening, well, we have more evidence of that. We have more videos of that, but we couldn't put everything here on screen because we've been here for a very, very long time. So in recognition of the fact that we have those that move amongst us that would be happy to see us separated from the United Kingdom, in recognition of that fact, I drink this. I give a toast to Jeffrey Donaldson, and I say thanks very much for swindling the people of Northern Ireland. So there we go. There we go. That's us to the end of the stream. That's us to the end of, I would say, the most important stream that we've done to date. Yes, I think that we've done okay. You leave your messages on the live chat and you tell me if this came across as consistent, if this came across as informative, if this came across as educational. Leave the messages on the live chat. Don't forget to give us a like, a love, and a share. And, you know, I sigh in disbelief. Well, not disbelief, because we knew that they were going to do it. But if that's what your friends are, who needs enemies? We've enough enemies without our own trying to lead us on a merry dance towards a new Ireland. Another quote from Jeffrey Donaldson, which he gave to me in 2018, October 2018, in his office at a meeting with him. I looked him in the eye and I says, how long do we have? And he knew that, well, you might be able to see, I'm a logical sort of fella and I'm able to read things. And I looked into his eye and he says, how long do we have? In October 2018, he quoted that we have 15 years. To which I said, not if I have anything to do with it. Don't be defeatist. It's not over. It won't be over. It won't be over if we can win hearts and minds. It won't be over if we can bring people together. It won't be over if an army of people can come together. And I say people. If an army of people can come together, I'm not talking about for war. I'm talking about political civil war. I'm talking about an army of people must come together with weapons of words that would hold these people to account, that would expose these people at every turn, that would be capable of taking the fight to our enemies, that would be capable of fighting in a meaningful, proactive way, in a way that would defend, protect, and enhance British unionism, in a way that would ensure that no British government would want to mess with Ulstermen. So I smile. I'll take another drink of that when we're playing out. I want you really to leave some messages in the live chat. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of how that it is that what it is that you've just seen. Tell me, was our efforts in vain this evening? Give us encouragement if you can. You know that, well, we're putting our heads above the parapet. We have seen people who have done similar in this country, only to lose their lives. Edwin Poots said to me in his office, I believe that Billy Wright was murdered. And I remember leaving Edwin Poots' office and I said to John Ross, what did he say that to me for? Was that like warning me for the way that it is that we push? You know, I thought about what Edwin Poots had said. And I went back to Edwin Poots just a few days later. And I says, well, you know, Edwin, I thought about what you said. And, you know, I'm either going to succeed, I will be demonized and diminished, or I'll die trying. Either way, that's okay with me. Not that I want to die, but, you know, sometimes there are some things that is worth standing up for. I will continue continue unabated to stand up for those things. And I hope that you, the people in the live chat and the people that comes to see this screen, well, you will join with me ensuring that these charlatans within our midst, they don't get their way. Thanks very much, people, for coming along. Yeah, you get emotional sometimes whenever you see that a whole lot of history, well, it could be put down the tubes because of capos that we have entrusted with the leadership of British unionism here in Northern Ireland. Now, if they're not, there's still time to reverse what it is that they're planning on doing. And I will be watching, I will be waiting. We will be poring over their every word, their every utterance. And we'll be reporting it here to the people on Restore UK. Restore UK is exactly what it means. And right now, according to what the British government were offering on Monday, I don't see the ingredients that would actually restore Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom. And therefore, the United Kingdom, well, our job's not over because we have not been restored as full members of the United Kingdom, and we will not be restored as full members of the United Kingdom under what it is that the DUP are planning on accepting right now. The numbers have stayed really, really high. Thanks very much for coming along. As I say, it was the most important stream, that we would have done to date. All I can say is that, well, onwards and upwards. Thanks for coming along. I'm going to play us out with a song. It's not going to be a patriotic song or anything else. Well, I'll play us out with a marching band at the very, very end. But this song's entitled, We've Been Here Before. And listen to the words of this song. You would think that this song was made for the circumstances to which British unionism finds themselves in this evening. So many times we found ourselves behind the 8 ball. So many times have we placed our trust in our politicians, only for our politicians to shaft us. I'm fed up with that. I hope you are too. And I hope that together we can change things for the benefit of ordinary, decent people here in Northern Ireland. And that goes for nationalists and Catholics also. You know, reconciliation can never be achieved whenever people are being wound up against each other. It can never be achieved. Reconciliation should have took place in this country between those that are willing a very, very long time ago. But all we get is extremists or self-serving politicians working for themselves, keeping people divided in order that they can get their hands on the lever of power. Well, as you see, we're capable of exposing them, and we will do, and we'll continue to do so from this day going forward. Cheers, people. See you all very soon.
I was left to my own devices. Many days fell away with nothing to show, and the walls kept tumbling down in the city that we love. Grey clouds roll over the hills, bringing darkness from above. But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? We were caught up and lost in all of our voices, in your pearls as the dust settles around us, and the walls kept tumbling down in the city that we love. Grey clouds roll over the hills, bringing darkness from above. But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? Oh, where do we begin? The rubble of our sins. Oh, where do we begin? The rubble of our sins. And the walls came tumbling down in the city that we love. Grey clouds roll over the hills, bringing darkness from above. Close your eyes. Does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? How am I gonna be an optimist about this if you close your eyes? Does it almost feel like nothing changed at all?